album review. Hi everyone, welcome back. Today I'm going to do an album review of Radiohead's Hail to the Thief. Kind of their middle child, the forgotten middle child. No one really talks about this album, but I want to just do a quick little album review of it. First things, if you could like, subscribe, comment, it helps the channel. Thank you. Back to this, though, the more interesting thing. This was released in June 9th, 2003. It's over 20 years old. Out of Radiohead's catalog, I don't think they've ever made a bad album. All their albums to me are either good, great, or amazing. Everyone always talks about OK Computer, and Rainbows, and Kid A. Those are like the big three, but let's dig into this one a little bit. This is a good blend of like the electronic of Kid A and then them wanting to get back to the rock guitar driven song. So it's a good mesh between them, but it doesn't quite get the same effect that I think they were kind of going for. To date, it is still their longest album. It's an album better broken off, listening to it a few tracks at a time and really getting to know those ones before moving on. Like if you just sit through the whole thing, it can be kind of grueling, especially how different it is compared to the other albums. Like 2 + 2 = 5, Sit Down, Stand Up, and Sail to the Moon. I love those tracks. I actually just only listened to those tracks when I started listening to the album because they were so good. But they all kind of blend together quite well until you get to track 4, Backdrifts. It's a really sonically, real electronic. It is kind of a weaker track. Not a bad track, but still weak. Then on from there we go to Sleep, a nice acoustic number. It's really surprising when it shows up finally, track 5 out of 14 coming in. But then it leads to Where I End and You Begin, which is a great bass and drum groove, kind of started off and it just flows. It's a great song. I love that song. That's another like end point, if you break it up into threes, you can really get into it. So Where I End and Where You Begin is a great kind of halfway mark, almost halfway. So, I've read up on it, and a lot of the band members themselves even say that it's just too long. It came out, 2003, so the War on Terror was happening. George Bush got elected, so everyone was kind of freaking out. Well, 9/11, everyone was kind of in a state of panic, didn't know what was going to happen. Nuclear threat was happening, kind of like today. So you can really feel it and kind of hear it in the music. So track 7, We Suck Young Blood. It's very different. It's very long. It's like 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes, and it has this eeriness to it. It's good for a Halloween playlist if you're looking for another song. So it's just piano and his voice, and then they'll add little things, and then they add these hand claps. And if you listen to it, it's like a group of people clapping at certain points. There's a part of it where like they're not clapping in sync, so that just kind of brings a more eeriness to it. The whole album itself is quite eerie. It's kind of scary, but not like, oh my god, but it's like, oh, it doesn't feel right when you listen to it at some points. And then we move on to The Gloaming. That's a nice little short song. To track 9, There, which is awesome. That's my mom's favorite Radiohead song, and they still play it live. So if they ever tour again, they will, but whenever, if you can see them, they usually play that song, which is just awesome to see live. Goes to track 10, I Will, which is just the shortest track on the album, like 2 minutes. It's just kind of there. Not much to say about it. Track 11, A Punch Up at a Wedding. That's a good, like, they use kind of like electric drum for it. It might be my least favorite on the album. There's not much to say about it. It's got a nice little groove. The bass part's great. The bass is just always great. Track 12, Myxomatosis, which is an actual disease, that's another cool electric guitar song, like good fusion of them, great balance between the both. I love that song. Track 13, You know, at this point, you're kind of like waiting for the album to end. Like, when's it gonna end? Is it ever gonna end? But Scatterbrain is a really cool song. I actually listened to that on my drive home, and no, it's still really. I thought like, oh, maybe they need to get rid of. Would I get rid of Scatterbrain? No. Every time I hear it, I think by the time I listen through the full album, by the time I get to Scatterbrain, I'm like, okay, maybe they should have left that one off. But no, they were good for keeping that on. And then my favorite track, the very ending track, Wolf at the Door, just such a cool sounding. Oh, the vocals are great. Everything about that song is great. It's one of my favorite top 10 Radiohead songs. So, you know, the band talked about how it's too long. They don't really like it. They like it, but they thought it was like, yeah, there's some stuff we can... Tom York even said, you know, I think he updated in 2008 what he would take off. He would take off Backdrifts, We Suck, Young Blood, I Will, and Punch Up at a Wedding, which I can't really disagree. I think I might actually listen to the album again without those 4 songs. Yeah, if they would have chopped it down a little, I think it would have been much better received. You know, but what would I rank it as? You know, this album's always like kind of in the middle, kind of towards the end. But if I were to rank it out of 10, I'd give it an 8. You know, I probably like it better if it wasn't so long. That's just a big complaint. Even the band thinks so. But what about you? What do you think? Have you listened to the album? Do you love the album? Do you think it's a masterpiece? I think it's still a great album. It's still worth listening to. I've been listening to it, you know, off and on for the past 2 weeks, so I can't really say I hate it. I don't hate it. It's great. You know, is it one that I put on that often? No. But when I do, yeah, I'm happy that I do. Right? Thank you. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, whatever. I'll see you next